Welcome to another episode, everyone. The blood gang leader who dressed up as a woman, dressed up in drag in order to kill his victims. We're talking about Bronx rapper ADX, who has 3 life sentences and 105 years, and reportedly indeed dressed up as a female to lure his victims in before he got rid of them. This is nasty work.
Before I let him give me 120 years, imagine.
They allege that Heron is guilty of racketeering charges for running a drug dealing operation. They also claim he was involved in 3 and 3 attempted and introduced his music videos as evidence.
The music is basically us talking about the life that we come from, not necessarily saying this is what I did. You know, this is a very intelligent man, and this is not a man who would commit all these crimes and didn't tell you for you to use it against him.
These acts, we knowingly
use his music videos, introduce his music videos into court as evidence. What you say can and will be held against you on the internet, in podcasts, on YouTube, in rap lyrics.
Understand what comes with this. We want the lights and we want the glitter and we want this, but we understand the only thing that's promised is jail or death. Diggs, knowing the individual he is, I think he understood what comes with it. If he was engaged in that, I think he was prepared for the outcome of his activities.
When the track Eulogy dropped, nobody could have predicted the wild accusations that would later come to light against Ronald Heron, better known as Rod Diggs.
Born out of that, I was forced with a decision. Either I'm gonna starve or risk going to...
The story behind this guy is straight out of a crime thriller. Picture this. Rod Diggs allegedly had one of his associates go undercover in the most extreme way. Wig, lipstick, makeup, the whole 9 yards, just to get close to a target he wanted. And get this, the associate even claimed that Rod Diggs himself had used this disguise method before to carry out hits. But honestly, that's just scratching the surface of Rod Diggs' criminal history. The stuff he got into was so hardcore that he ended up with not 1, not 2, but 3 life sentences plus an extra 105 years tacked on for good measure.
Rod Diggs got 3 life sentences. You heard about this?
I actually seen it on, I think it was on your website yesterday, and I was like, and I feel bad.
And where is he serving this mind-boggling sentence? In none other than the infamous ADX Florence, the Supermax prison often dubbed the Alcatraz of the Rockies. Now, if you're not...
He's having it hard then. He's living a hard life now. That's for sure. 3 life sentences plus 105 years. Damn, how long is the man supposed to live? He's never getting out of prison with that kind of time. How? That's all bad. And then he's in ADX Florence, the infamous prison. It's so high security. It's shut down. There's no movement. You can't do anything. This is where they have El Chapo and individuals like this. No, this is Guantanamo Bay. No way.
Familiar, this place is notorious for housing the worst of the worst. Terrorists, cartel leaders, gang bosses, and all sorts of high-profile criminals. It's a place where even hardened criminals have a tough time. A facility where they say death might be easier than living out your days there.
In an exclusive interview, a former warden and a former inmate tell us death is easier than life at the federal Supermax.
It is as isolated as the prisoners who call it home. The prison, called ADX Florence, is a tomb for the living.
To me, it's life after death.
So what exactly did Rod Diggs...
Damn, a tomb for the living. The other dude said to him is worse than death. The newscaster said people feel like death is better than this place. ADX Florence, this is how isolated and high security it is. People would rather die than do time there.
To land himself in such a hellhole. Let's dive in deeper.
I think Rod Diggs, knowing the individual he is, I think he understood what comes with it. If he was engaged in that, I think he was prepared for the outcome of his activities.
Ronald Heron, better known as Rod Diggs, was born in 1982 and grew up in Gowanus projects of Brooklyn, New York, a place that's seen a lot of change due to gentrification, but back then it was a rough area to navigate, surrounded by crime and violence.
I bet I said the Bronx. It's Brooklyn, New York. And he says he thinks he understood the ramifications of his actions. Well, I should hope so. We all need to understand this. When we are out here committing crimes and doing things in the street, oftentimes we are going to pay for it at some juncture. Be careful of what you do when you leave your home, because there are consequences. This individual is indeed suffering them with 3 life sentences plus 105 years in ADX Florence, of all places. He doesn't have a cell phone in there.
Rod Diggs found himself caught up in the streets early on, getting involved with criminal activities and eventually joining the Bloods. His adolescence was a revolving door of correctional facilities, setting the stage for the reputation he would go on to build.
I was brought up toting slammers, like, so Bill had to be extra tight. You feel me? Like,
in September 1998, things took a dark turn when a shooting in Wyckoff Gardens, a nearby project, left an innocent bystander. Just 2 years later, on October 7, 2000, Rod Diggs himself was shot in the leg during a dispute over a drug debt. But Rod Diggs wasn't the type to let something like that slide. While recovering at Kings County Hospital, he orchestrated a retaliation hit on his shooter, carried out by his cousins. This act only cemented his reputation for violence. He even bragged about it in a song with Uncle Murda on the GZ beat for Slow Down, spitting lines like, "I don't respect the shooter because he shot me in the legs, and 2 days later the little homie was dead. See, if he was smart, he would have shot me in the head, because I could get you shot from a hospital bed."
See, if he was smart, he would have shot me in the head, because I could get you shot from a hospital bed.
But that was just the beginning. In 2001, Rod Diggs found himself facing a charge.
Yeah, so let me tell you, those are some of the rap lyrics that they used against him in the court of law. They used against you as evidence, as they had alluded to earlier on here, that they used his videos and rap lyrics as evidence. And here, of course, he was just essentially admitting to a crime, admitting that the individual that shot him, that he got him shot from a hospital bed and got him killed, got him dead.
For killing of Frederick Brooks, an alleged rival dealer. On June 16, 2001, Brooks was gunned down in the lobby of 198 Bond Street, shot multiple times in the face, neck, back, and head. The crime scene was brutal, leaving Brooks to bleed out on the floor. Rod Diggs, along with members of his Bloods crew, took steps to dispose of the firearm used in but it wasn't long before the authorities caught up with him. By July 2001, he was arrested and put on trial in New York State Criminal Court. The prosecution claimed to have 2 key eyewitnesses, let's call them Witness A and Witness B. Both had given recorded statements to the Assistant District Attorney, identifying Rod Diggs as the shooter who took Brooks' life. They even picked him out of a police lineup. But when it came time to testify, things took a shocking turn. Both witnesses recanted their statements, claiming they'd been threatened by Rod Diggs and his associates. Another witness, Witness C, testified that he saw Rod Diggs arguing with Brooks before following them into the lobby. There, he witnessed Rod Diggs push Brooks against the mailboxes, pull out a silver gun, and shoot him. Despite this, Witness C knew that testifying against Rod Diggs was a death sentence, so he lied about his role in the murder. Yet another witness, Witness D, also saw the murder but refused to identify Rod Diggs on the stand out of fear for his life. The level of influence Rod Diggs wielded in his community was undeniable, and it paid off. He walked away from the case acquitted, later bragging about beating the body.
Bro, he had beaten. He had beaten a murder case. Yeah, he had beaten a murder case. He had beaten a murder case and he was out.
But this wasn't the end of his run-ins with the law. Throughout the early 2000s, Rod Diggs continued to build up his blood set, known as the Murderous Mad Dogs.
Yeah, so he got away then. They got so scared, and that's what happens often. Individuals will call the police on you. They will snitch on you. They will snitch in the side of a police station or whatever, because they are within the comfort of 4 walls, and they have the police there supporting them and coaxing the information out of them. But these same individuals do not want to go to court. They don't want to expose themselves on a stand inside of a courtroom and say everything that they said inside of the interrogation room. So he ends up getting off for that murder.
Using 423 Baltic Street in Brooklyn as his base of operations. His crew was involved in everything from drug dealing to extortion, robbery, and even murder. Rod Diggs was briefly locked up for drug but managed to maintain control of his enterprise from behind bars. When he was released in July of 2007, he didn't slow down. In fact, he had a new vision for expanding his empire. However, the streets don't stay quiet for long. In 2007, a local drug dealer referred to in court documents as John Doe was selling crack in the same projects where Rod Diggs operated. Not one to tolerate competition, Rod Diggs ordered 2 of his men to rob John Doe. They caught him in a building lobby, and despite an attempt by a friend of John Doe to intervene, one of Rod Diggs' guys pulled a pistol while the other emptied John Doe's pockets, taking between $600 to $700 in cash. After the robbery, Rod Diggs confronted John Doe on the 12th floor, warning him to stop selling drugs in his territory. John Doe took a break for a few months but eventually came back, this time asking Rod Diggs for permission to sell. Rod granted it, but only under the condition that John Doe would buy his product directly from him. John Doe eventually became a key player in Rod Diggs' operation, supervising deliveries from suppliers and dispersing the drugs to street dealers. In early May 2008, things started heating up for Rod Diggs when a guy named Richard Russo made some not-so-nice comments about him. Russo was hanging out in the lobby of 423 Baltic Street with some members of Ra's crew who were busy selling drugs. Russo, feeling bold, started questioning Ra's authority in Gowanus and even went as far as to threaten his life. Well, that turned out to be a big mistake. Just a few days later, on May 9th, 2008,
this individual is in the street, totally, apparently, allegedly, and in the rap game. And it's hard to do both. You have to make a decision. You can't have one foot in and one foot out. And he has drug deals going bad and murders, gang banging, totally in the street. Well, how you going to flourish as a rapper if you're in the street like this? All the way immersed in the street. No way.
Rod Diggs decided to confront Russo in the same lobby. He walked up to him, told him to get in the elevator with another member of his crew, and once inside, he shot and K-worded Russo right there. To cover his tracks, Ra handed out some cash to one of his guys, making sure they kept their mouths shut and disposed of the firearm used in the murder. But Russo wasn't the only one on Ra's hit list. There was another guy named Kendall Robinson, also known as Smurf, who had been involved in a series of violent incidents around the block where Ra was running his business. These incidents were messing with Ra's money, and he wasn't about to let that slide. So he and one of his goons started hunting Robinson. On September 13th, 2008, one of Ra's hitters found Robinson and shot him in front of 185 Nevin Street with a .40 caliber gun. Robinson survived, but it was clear that Ra was sending a message. Even though Ra wasn't there for the shooting, other members of his crew were, making sure the job was done. Just to give you an idea of the level of menace these guys were dealing with, Kendall Robinson, at only 21 years old, would later be sentenced to life without parole in 2013 for executing a 16-year-old girl. This girl, Altia Conyers, had pressed assault charges against one of Robinson's homies, and she refused to drop them even after the guy was locked up. In retaliation, Robinson shot her 3 times as she was trying to escape, then stood over her as she begged for her life and put 3 more bullets into her head and face. Fast forward to November 2008, and Ra's crew got into another beef, this time—
Woo-wee! Excuse me, you have to be real careful when you're calling the police and making statements on some of these individuals, because you are indeed putting your life in danger. Even these days, it is still extremely dangerous when they say that snitches get ditches. It is very true. And she had this individual locked up. I mean, they had assaulted her. I'm not saying that she did anything wrong. She's not a gang member. She doesn't live by any code. She called the police or whatever, but when they were threatening her, harassing her, and trying to get her to drop the charges, I don't know, either get out of the way or do something to save your life, because I've seen this too many times.
With a group selling drugs in the Wyckoff Gardens projects. One of Ra's people was selling crack there when a guy named Victor Zapata told her she couldn't sell there anymore. Ra's partner, George Meja, decided to confront Zapata, but things didn't go as planned. On November 9th, 2008, Meja was shot about 5 times during the confrontation. Rod and his crew were furious and even recorded a meeting while Meja was recovering in the hospital, where they planned their next move. The video, titled Project Music, was posted on YouTube as an extended part of a music video, but it's since been deleted. On December 23, 2008, one of Ra's hitters was arrested with a loaded .22 caliber gun and body armor while trying to run from the police. Rod managed to avoid getting caught that time, but the heat was definitely on. Then on September 27, 2009, Rod finally caught up with Zapata, the guy who had shot Meja. He found him in the Wyckoff Gardens courtyard, walked him down, and shot him multiple times, rewarding him. Just a few days later, on October 1st, 2009,
Jeez! I see how he ended up with 3 life sentences and 105 years. Hell, you're not even going to be able to do the 105 years, much less 3 life sentences. You're going to do die, come back, do another life term, die, come back, do another life term. But man, this individual allegedly is downing people. They had their hands on him for a minute. Had they been able to keep him in there, they probably would have saved a lot of lives if all of this is true. Nevertheless, I mean, he's a rapper, I guess, but he's certainly in the street. He's a gang member first. He's a gang member before he is a rapper for sure.
And one of his homies were arrested in a BMW that had been double parked on a crowded street. The cops found a loaded 9mm gun with 10 rounds of ammunition in the car, and it looked like the gun had been discharged recently. Around the same time, but not revealed until later during Ra's court case in 2014, there was a story that Ra Diggs had been kicked out of one of Jim Jones' studio sessions in New York. According to testimony from Ra's driver, Jim Jones was not too happy about Ra bringing that Bloods-ish into his session and told him to take it outside. Ra didn't take kindly to that, and after leaving the studio and breaking the glass door on his way out, he and his goons tracked down Jim Jones later that night. They found him at a strip club in Mount Vernon called Sue's Rendezvous. When Ra walked into the club, the DJ announced his arrival and Jim Jones looked like he'd seen a ghost, quickly making his exit. Ra later spoke about the incident in an interview, basically letting everyone know that yeah, things were cool now, but he did pull up on them that night. One of the most ridiculous arrests came when Ra got arrested for something as minor as littering. He dropped a gum wrapper on the ground and a cop walked up to cite him for it. But then the cop noticed that Ra was wearing body armor. The cop later said, "I've stopped hundreds of people in my career and he's the first person I've seen wearing body armor." Ra got subpoenaed for the military-style body armor he was wearing, and the press tried to spin it as the thing that took down his whole criminal enterprise. But that wasn't really the case. The government had been building a case against him for a long time, and things were about to come crashing down. On October 5th, 2010, the NYPD and US Marshals teamed up to finally catch Ra Diggs. They had been keeping an eye on him, and when they saw him go into Club Amnesia in Manhattan with 2 of his associates, they knew it was time to move. As soon as Ra and his homies stepped out of the car, they were arrested on the spot. The driver tried to make a run for it, speeding off in the car, but the NYPD caught up with him within minutes. The crazy part about all this is that while Ra was running his criminal enterprise, he was also trying to build a rap career. He was featured on Waka Flocka's debut album, Flockavelli, on the track Live by the Gun, alongside Uncle Murda and the Murder Team. In the song, Ra rapped some pretty incriminating lines that would later come back to haunt him. Everything he said in his verses turned out to be true. He rapped about how 2 days after he was shot, his shooter got killed, which actually happened.
Shot me 5 times, 2 days later the nigga died. Shooting at the fathers committing.
He mentioned MMD, the set of Bloods he repped, which he would later be charged for. He even bragged about how his homies for him and how he had multiple people himself, like in the cases of Victor Zapata and Frederick Brooks.
Act like you don't know me. Put in my own work, but niggas a kill.
They even shot the music video for
Oh my God. Yeah, you have to be careful with the lyrics. They are using the lyrics against you in a court of law. We've seen this time and time again. And he's rapping about everything that's went on. He got shot. His shooter ended up dead 2 days later. We already hear him saying that he caught the hit from his hospital bed. He's mentioning his gang. He's mentioning other individuals that got knocked off. He's mentioning his shooters, that he can do some things himself, but he can have his shooters do some things. Not only are you going to get yourself in trouble in a life sentence, which he clearly did, 3 of them, you're going to get everyone else a life sentence. Jeez.
The song in the Go Honest projects, right in the heart of where all this stuff was going down. In another track, a remix of Slow Down, Ra rapped about how if you want to smoke a man on the Ave, then go and beat the body with an 18B. He was referring to the murder of Frederick Brooks, which they would later nail him for, along with a slew of other charges.
Go on the Ave, then go and beat the body with an 18B. If you ain't never beat a body, then you ain't like me.
Rod Diggs, known for always representing Van God in his music and brand, had a complex and tumultuous life that culminated in a series of events that sealed his fate. Just a few months before his final arrest and only a month after his mother passed away, Rod Diggs released what would become his most popular solo track, Eulogy. This song stands out not just for its haunting beat, but for the eerie way its lyrics seem to foreshadow the grim outcomes that awaited him. In the track, he spits raw bars that cut deep. Now, while they talk about fiction, I'ma spit real rap irrefutable. Try to dispute my facts, man, I'm sick. Only 14 years, but that's the last time I let a man see tears.
Now while they talk about fiction, I'ma spit real rap irrefutable. Try to dispute. I'm sick, only 14 years.
This is nasty work, man. I hope all of you all are convinced that what you say can and will be held against you. What is this need for us to reveal our past exploits on the internet or in lyrics? You know, what's the bravado about where we have to let people know that we're killers or whatever, to the point we want to put it in rap lyrics and all this, and then we're naming stuff that we actually did, that they can verify and say, oh yeah, he did die on this day. What the, are you serious? I'm sure he's in prison regretting a lot of these lyrics. Not to say that that's just the rap lyrics that got him life sentences. I mean, it could be the murders. Could be pulling your gun out and gunning people down. But the fact that you exposed that and exposed what you did and exposed what your shooters did, well, yeah. You helping them build a case on you.
That's the last time I let see tears.
These lines reference a tragic incident from 1994 that left a lasting impact on Diggs. Back then, he was just a kid playing a game of cops and robbers with his friends, split into two teams armed with fake guns. But what started as innocent fun ended in a nightmare when Nicholas Hayward, a 13-year-old friend of Rod Diggs, was shot and K-worded by a police officer who mistook the toy gun for a real 9mm. The story was even covered by the New York Times, a stark reminder of how quickly things can turn deadly. Fast forward to February 13, 2012, when Rod Diggs' life took another drastic turn. He was officially indicted, slapped with 23 counts that included racketeering, 3 murders, murder conspiracy, attempted murder, robbery, illegal possession and use of firearms, and narcotics. With the weight of these charges, he was staring down the possibility of the death penalty.
They allege that Heron is guilty of racketeering charges for running a drug dealing operation in the Gowanus housing development where he grew up. They also claim he was involved in 3 murders and 3 attempted murders.
And to make matters worse, just a month later, while awaiting trial in March,
racketeering charges, murder charges, and attempted murder. 3 murders, 3 attempted murders. Could have been 6 people altogether that lost their life. Man, my God. And racketeering charges, running a drug empire. He got his hands in a lot. He's really in the streets. Or he was. It's crazy.
2012, Diggs was caught with a cell phone in his solitary confinement cell, only adding to his growing list of troubles. This wasn't the first time Diggs had been in hot water. If you remember from earlier, he had managed to beat a murder charge in the early 2000s thanks to witness intimidation. The same people who had initially pointed the finger at him decided to stay silent and refused to testify in the Frederick Brooks case, which he was charged for again later on. At this point, the media was focusing heavily on his lyrics, trying to paint a picture of a rapper whose art was fueling his criminal activities.
The music is basically us talking about the life that we come from, not necessarily saying this is what I did. You know, this is a very intelligent man, and this is not a man who would commit all these crimes and didn't tell you for you to use it against him.
But while the lyrics were damning, they were just the tip of the iceberg. What really did him in was the sheer number of people who turned against him, people who were once close to him but ended up testifying in court, spilling all the details. In Eulogy, Diggs also rapped, "I'ma wave the heat, I solemnly swear before I let them give me 120 years, 120 years, imagine that there."
Swear before I let him give me 120 years, 120 years, imagine that.
The irony of those words would hit hard later on. On June 26, 2014, after being convicted of racketeering and 3 murders, Diggs avoided the death penalty, which had been taken off the table earlier. However, he wasn't spared from a life behind bars. Instead, he was handed 3 life sentences plus an additional 105 years. His response to the judge was defiant. "You can sentence me to 10 life sentences, I'm only going to die one time, and God have mercy on us all." The judge, however, was not moved. Recognizing Diggs
Yeah, we all get to calling on God in times like that. 3 life sentences. He's right, though. He's only going to die one time. There's no need to sentence someone to 3 life sentences. But oftentimes, I believe that they do that so that if you are able to come back on appeal for one case, for 1 life sentence, what are the odds that you're going to be 3 life sentences for 3 separate cases, 3 separate murders, and then 105 years for everything else. They're making it so that he never gets out of prison.
His articulate nature, he noted how even now Diggs seemed oblivious to the misery he had caused. To drive the point home, the judge granted his wish and added 10 more life sentences, bringing Diggs' total to 12 life terms plus 105 years. Rod Diggs was sent to ADX Florence, the infamous Supermax prison in Colorado, often referred to as the Alcatraz of the Rockies. This place is reserved.
So he ended up getting 12 life sentences plus 105 years. Because he told the judge, you can give me 10 life sentences. I don't care. It's not going to do nothing. I'm only going to die one time. And the judge said, okay. And I'll give you 12. I can do you 2 better. Oh, man.
For the worst of the worst, housing notorious criminals like El Chapo, the Boston Marathon bomber, James Marcello of the Chicago outfit, Larry Hoover, founder of the Gangster Disciples, Mahmoud Abu Halima, one of the men behind the '93 World Trade Center bombing, and founders of the Aryan Brotherhood. ADX Florence is where mass murderers and terrorists are confined under brutal conditions designed to prevent any chance of escape or violence.
Exclusive interview, a former warden and a former inmate tell us death is easier than life at the federal Supermax.
Is as isolated as the prisoners who call it home.
Damn.
The prison.
A warden said that. A warden said that death is easier than life at ADX Florence. A warden who ran the whole prison. A former warden. Well, did you say that when you were working there, warden? Did you make it life easier for these individuals who are still human beings? Yes, some of them have committed heinous crimes. But this is supposed to be a Christian nation, which means you will believe that God will pass the judgment. And it's not on you to determine life and death. It's not on those individuals either. And they made that decision. And if you really believe in what you say you do, then you know that your God will take care of that ill-advised decision and action that these individuals took. It's not for you to punish them. Yes, put them in prison or what have you. I don't even believe in that. There's other ways to handle it. But death row, for you to decide that you can take someone's life, and that makes you no better than them. They made that decision, and so did you.
Called ADX Florence is a tomb for the living.
To me, it's life after death.
Life at ADX is nothing short of a nightmare. Inmates are kept in solitary confinement for 23 hours a day in small cells measuring about 7 by 12 feet.
Even if the behaviors are good, though, it's pretty much a 23-hour a day in the cell, 1 hour outside. And even outside, it's not a walk in the park. It's a caged environment.
The cells are stark, with only a bed, a desk, and a stool, all made of poured concrete. A tiny 4-inch wide window allows in a sliver of light, but no view of the outside world, so prisoners have no sense of their exact location within the complex. The furniture is unmovable, and the cell includes a combination sink and toilet. There's a small time shower, and the rooms are soundproof, ensuring that inmates cannot communicate with one another.
Prisoner lives in a cell the size of a bathroom. It has a shower, a toilet, a concrete...
That's horrible, man. The cells are soundproof so that you can't even talk to anyone. You know, your neighbor. When I was in prison, you talk in the vent to your neighbor, talk in between a crack to your neighbor or someone else down a tier, the crack of your door. But they're making it to where they want you to go crazy in there. You can't even have contact with another human being, essentially. You're going to have to sit in that cell alone. I don't see 2 bunks in there. They have the shower inside of the cell to where there's no need for you to come out of the cell. In a regular prison, if you will, the showers are not inside of the cell. So even when we go on lockdown, they have to come and let us out to go to shower. But here, they have to shower inside of the cell. So you have no need, essentially, to even come out of your cell. Everything else is going to be brought to you, the food or what have you. So these individuals are sitting inside of this situation all day long, every day, without anything. I don't see any TVs, radios, etc. Well, maybe that's, okay, there is a TV up there. But it's soundproof, so you can't even speak to it. You're in there essentially losing your mind slowly but surely. This situation here is going to test your strength. Now, again, I understand that some people are going to say, well, prison is not supposed to be Disneyland. They committed crimes. These are hardened criminals. They are, allegedly, this institution is specifically designed for individuals who carry a lot of weight one way or another or committed particularly heinous crimes. But I just say that they're still human beings.
Slab covered with a thin mattress. In the rare time outside, prisoners are kept in cages.
Movement is heavily restricted, with any activity outside the cell requiring the escort of multiple guards. Even the exercise yard, which is enclosed by high walls with only a view of the sky, is designed to prevent any glimpse of the surrounding area. Contact with the outside world is minimal, with non-contact visits conducted through thick glass partitions and very limited access to monitored phones. Despite the overwhelming evidence against him, Rod Diggs still has his supporters. Some argue that he didn't commit many of the crimes he's been accused of, although skepticism remains high.
By the way, free Rod Diggs.
Free Rod Diggs, man. Yeah.
I feel like hopefully he gonna get around that because a lot of they trying to say he didn't do.
Over the years, Diggs has attempted to appeal his sentence multiple times, claiming that his First Amendment rights were violated, but every appeal has been denied.
Every appeal has been denied. Damn. Okay, so there you have it. He has a few supporters there, though, saying that they believe he's going to get out, he's going to come home because he didn't do a lot of the stuff that they have accused him of. But so, which, indicates that he did some of it, just not all of it. Okay, so maybe they take off one life sentence, maybe they take off 100 years. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what he's actually guilty of, but that's why they gave him, and not only that, they gave him 12 life sentences. That's why they do stuff like that. So that, again, if you get out of some of it on appeal or whatever, he may beat 6 of the life sentences. Let's say he beats half of them on appeal, overturn, retrial. You still got 6. You're going to come off from all 12 of them? I mean, that anything's possible. You got to stay positive and keep hope alive. This is a dire situation that he is in. But okay, there you have it. Let me know what you think in the comments. Raw Diggs from Brooklyn, New York, accused of many things, including dressing up in drag to take out some of his opposition. And as we just heard, he was accused of taking out many of his ops himself and having stuff done from his hospital bed when he got shot. And 2 days later, the individual that shot him was wrapped up. And now he's really going through it, though, for sure. He's regretting some of these choices, some of these decisions, whatever part he may have partaken in, since he's not guilty of all of this, as his comrade said. Whatever parts he may be guilty of or is guilty of, he certainly regrets it now sitting there in ADX Florence, the worst prison in the world, really, at this point. I mean, it's horrible. It's so horrific. It's so isolated, so high security. I mean, they have some horrible, what is it, the White Dolphin or something like that, the Dolphin in Russia, that prison, that thing looks extremely horrific as well. But ADX Florence is nothing to play with. As we can see, even we have wardens, former wardens, saying that death is easier than doing time there. That's serious. Let me know what you think in the comments. Stay safe and stay free, people.